Hey guys, we have got to talk about this CleanSpark news. Their CEO resigned, and he's being replaced by Matt Schultz, the co-founder. And Zach Bradford isn't only leaving as the CEO, but he's also leaving his director role. And what is his reason for this? Well, to spend time with family, according to Zach. But let's read some commentary from Matt Schultz. As a founder who has always been actively involved, I care deeply about this company, our people, and our mission. My focus stepping in as CEO is to ensure stability, continuity, and forward momentum during this time, and to support the team and our board as we continue to execute as a market leader. As we have continued to grow, the board believes that now is the right time for a change as we look to fully capture opportunities available for CleanSpark. So they say now is the right time for a change in leadership. Are they saving face? Did they push Zach Bradford out? Or did Zach Bradford leave on his own accord? Because we have some conflicting statements. Did they push their own co-founder out? He says the time has come for me to transition the role to the next leader and focus on my family. Will we ever know if this was Zach Bradford's choice or CleanSpark's decision to get Zach Bradford out? I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe it was a mutual decision. If you ask me, it is a red flag. For a co-founder that's only been, CleanSpark has only existed for 11 years or so. And in that short time, you're leaving your legacy now. I mean, I guess he made his millions and now he can retire and enjoy life. Good for him. Sorry I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to figure this out just like you guys are. We only know what we are being told. Since co-founding the company in 2014, it has been the privilege of a lifetime to help lead it through every stage of growth into the company it is today. And to give him credit, CleanSpark came from being a couple $1 million market cap company to being billions in market cap. So there is no doubt that they have grown this company from a very small company to a rather large company in only a handful of years. So he does deserve credit there. But that's not to say that this is a little bit concerning. In going to Zach's Twitter or X page, there is no mention of any future endeavors, what he wants to do with his life. Maybe he does in fact want to focus on family. And like I said, maybe he made his millions and that's enough. I'm out. I'm gonna live the rest of my life on an island somewhere. These Bitcoin miners, whether it's CleanSpark, Mara, they are known for paying their executives very well. Let's just put it that way. Now, what's the reaction to this, the CEO resigning? Really not as bad as I would think, but I do think the market will react if we clearly break this megaphone pattern, this ascending, broadening pattern. We did fill our gap to the upside and our gap to the downside. Now we're just hovering near this gap that we did fill. But for Zach to leave at a time like this, after they had a really good earnings, a record quarter for revenue, they beat their EPS, they recorded a standardized 77 cents earnings per share. And not only that, but their guidance. Another record quarter of revenue, $250 million, $250 million now, and expecting to be profitable, which we should also expect based on Bitcoin's performance so far this quarter. We do have a couple months left to get through, but if Bitcoin doesn't just tank from here, these Bitcoin miners should see another consecutive profitable quarter. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat things and say, oh, this is bullish. Maybe there's some acquisition coming. Maybe CleanSpark has bigger plans and Zach Bradford was just dead weight. I don't know. You don't know. No one on WEBULL knows. People are speculating that, oh, they're doing some kind of acquisition. People are also speculating that, oh, he's trying to get out before this company fails. There's some big, horrible thing going on in the background, and he's leaving before the ship sinks. But really, we can't say one way or the other. I would say if I made as much money as Zach Bradford as CEO over that decade that he was, I would be perfectly fine with leaving and living the rest of my life on a extended vacation, basically. So I don't necessarily blame him. I would have probably did the same thing. But let's be certain this doesn't instill more confidence in the stock. Now, as for the Bitcoin miners today, what is going on in general? Well, we do have some somewhat green. Bitfarms is a good performer today. Canaan is a good performer today. BTBT doing okay on ETH's recent great performance, and we'll talk about ETH and alt season in a minute here. But it's a pretty mixed day. We got cores tanking 8.5%. Iron pulling back a tad. CleanSpark is pretty much the most flat one out of all of them, which to me is a bit surprising. And where's Bitcoin at with all this? Well, it's a hair from breaking out to new all-time highs. We held the 50 MA back here. We talked about that. That was probably the last video I did. We got back into this channel and quickly got to the resistance. And we do have a body on the candle out of this pattern. If we can close this candle out of this pattern, I think that would be a great sign. If not, we retrace and potentially fill out this maybe cup and handle here. We retrace, test this as a support, and bam, onto my target of $150,000, which is about 24% away. I think there's a very good probability that Bitcoin sees 150,000. Some people are calling for much more outrageous numbers. Long story short, I think 150K can be done. For CleanSpark, for example, to outperform Bitcoin, it needs to get back almost to $20 to outperform Bitcoin from cycle bottom to top, or to there. It has done this throughout a couple times of this cycle where it has outperformed Bitcoin actually, but it was somewhat short-lived. It was on consecutive profitable quarters. CleanSpark needs to do roughly a double from here to outperform Bitcoin again. And despite what's going on with the company, I think they can still do that as long as we can continue to see profitable quarters and as long as some hype enters back into the Bitcoin miners. Some excitement. We start seeing them move up, people start getting excited, retail starts buying the top, so on and so forth. Keep an eye on the SEC filings, the Form 4s. What are the execs doing? Are they offloading their shares? Are they buying? Are more executives leaving? These are the things you have to closely watch. Now, if this is too risky for you, I understand that. If you want to trim your bag, if you're too overweight on CleanSpark, some diversification is always good. If you have a bunch of Bitcoin miners and they take up 50% of your portfolio, you're doing something wrong. That said, as long as we don't see more execs leave, as long as CleanSpark can see profitability as we end this cycle, I do think we will see a $20 CleanSpark. Will it get to last cycle prices of 40 something dollars? I don't think so, and I didn't necessarily think that before, but I do think a double up is in the cards still, even with this news. As long as this is where the news ends, as long as it's not more execs leaving. But let me know what you guys think about CleanSpark. Does this instill more confidence in you somehow? Or does this have you a bit concerned like I am? Now, before I talk about Bitcoin dominance and the massive shift that's been happening, the excitement towards Ethereum, the altcoin season that I think we are in right now, we do have something interesting going on, a NASDAQ listing of this ABTC, American Bitcoin Corp, which is a subsidiary of Hut 8, interestingly. They added 1,726 Bitcoin, 1,726 Bitcoin to their holdings, and I do like this writer. He is awesome. But ABTC's Bitcoin position is now 2,130 Bitcoin, or $257 million, and they plan to go public through a merger with Griffin. If you guys remember Griffin, let me know in the comments below. You have been an OG here then, because we remember Griffin from when they were trying to merge with Sphere 3D, and that all fell through at the end of last cycle. So hopefully we don't see the same thing with this ABTC and this merger falling through at the end of this cycle, but it might be worth keeping an eye on this ABTC. Now, we also have news today that Bitcoin whale activity reaches all-time high as the price is near highs. Whales aren't offloading right here near highs, they are buying at record paces, and whales that hold 100 Bitcoin or more, actually just more than 100 Bitcoin, sorry, I'm retarded, reaching a new all-time high of 18,996 whales. Whales have been a leading indicator of market sentiment. If they're buying, usually a big move follows. If they are selling, usually a big drop follows. They are usually ahead of the curve, not behind it. Major players are locking up supply, reducing market liquidity, contributing to upward price pressure. There's a steady and sustained rise in these large holding wallets, surpassing the previous record that was set in 2017, 2-cycle ago peak. And part of these whales also do include publicly traded companies. Any publicly traded company holding 100 Bitcoin or more counts as one of these whales. And we have been seeing many, many more firms adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. 160 firms, up from 43 in 2023. Wall Street is opening up to Bitcoin, seeing that it is a thing now. BlackRock loves it, Fidelity loves it. They have spot Bitcoin ETFs available. You have companies like MicroStrategy, other smaller companies following suit, seeing their stock price skyrocket because of getting into Bitcoin, and it creates a domino effect. Monkey see, monkey do. And while this is all happening, we're seeing Bitcoin dominance fall off a cliff, and we are at this support level on this pattern, and it actually looks like we're starting to break it. If we can see this break, we are going to see dominance for Bitcoin drop, which doesn't mean Bitcoin has to go down. Bitcoin can keep going up and still have dominance go down. That just means the altcoins are going up more than Bitcoin. And I do think we are going to continue to see that throughout this cycle, throughout the last couple of months of this year, that is. But keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance. I do believe the market will react if we see a break. Maybe that's when full-fledged alt season starts and you really see some crazy performance out of the riskier alts, you know, going more down the list past Ethereum and past Solana and Cardano and stuff like that. But it lines up perfectly with the cycle. We start seeing the alts run. This kind of marks the end of the cycle. If things get really, really euphoric, if people start getting all excited, if your, friends and family start talking about Bitcoin and asking you questions, that's a red flag. That's when it's time to secure some profits, sell some covered calls, trim a little bit of the portfolio, prepare cash for crypto winter, for pullbacks, because we will get them. But let me know how you guys feel about this CleanSpark news. Does this make you want to sell everything? Did you sell everything? Did you trim a little bit to de-risk? Are you buying protective puts in case there's a huge downside risk? Remember, risk management is key to investing. That is the most important thing you can do, is manage risk. It always disappoints me when you guys say you're all in on this. When someone tells me they put their whole life savings into one stock. Someone once told me they bought BNGO with their entire retirement. A unprofitable company that had no hopes of ever being profitable, on the horizon at least. And this person went all in on their retirement. They lost almost everything on a horrible investment decision. Remember, if you're going to bet on these risky stocks that flip from unprofitable to profitable, that aren't always consistently profitable, you need to bet small. You need to be careful. Whether we're talking about CleanSpark, a different Bitcoin miner, Bitcoin itself, any stock, especially if unprofitable, do not go in too heavy, because you never know what the future may hold. You never know when an exec is going to resign. You never know when a stock suddenly has some internal problems, or when sentiment just completely shifts. So with CleanSpark, I'm staying cautiously optimistic. This definitely isn't something that makes me want to buy more, but I wouldn't advise buying this late in the cycle regardless. Whether this news dropped or not, you don't want to necessarily be buying this late in the cycle without a stop loss, without an exit plan. But thanks as always for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about this news. How do you feel about Bitcoin dominance? Are we going to see ETH break out and rally, a big run out of BTBT and the other Ethereum plays now? And do you think Bitcoin tops out in 2025 or sometime in 2026? Do you think the cycle is broken and we just keep going up forever with no end in sight? Always love your opinions and comments. Thanks as always, and I will see you tomorrow.